Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man.
I can sidearm drivers fairly smooth, but putters wobble a lot. Eric likes to call those wounded ducks. I don't use sidearm a lot, but would like to start using it more, especially for some up shots. What might I need to work on to eliminate the wobble with putters?
All right.
That's interesting, and I'm going to listen because sidearm is something that I'm trying to add to my forte. Because there's a lot of times where I try to make something understable work, and I'm thinking, man, if I just had a slide arm,
forehand.
a little touch forehand, it'd be nice. So I will listen intently, Robert.
Okay.
Go.
Well, I don't ever throw putters forehand. So.
Great. This is perfect time.
I'm just kidding. I do it. All right. So one of the reasons that it's more difficult to throw a putter forehand than it is like a driver is because drivers are intended to spin faster than putters and mid-ranges. So because they do that, they kind of mask some of that wobbling that you see when you throw a forehand. Because the disc already wants to spin faster, it may wobble, but it's not going to be as adversely affected as something like a putter is because it flies slower and with kind of this rounded edge. So what you need to do in order to... so it's not surprising that you're having trouble throwing forehanding putters as opposed to drivers. I'd say that a lot of people are like that. Something that you should work on when you're throwing slower speed discs is making sure that you have enough spin on them without trying to overpower them. Okay, using too much arm will kind of cause you to feel like you really got to lean on this disc to get it to do what you want it to do. But you don't. It's more of a wrist motion. Like your arm has to be involved, but it's more of a wrist motion and making sure that your hand at the very least finishes out as if someone is standing in front of you and you're just slapping them in the face. Pop. Right?
Can I practice right now?
Please do not.
Okay.
Thank you. You are going to have a natural tendency to roll your wrist over so that your palm is facing the ground once you've thrown. That's going to create a lot of wobble in any disc, but especially a putter, which is less likely to correct after you let it go poorly. So one thing that you can do is when you take your forehand grip, turn the pads of your fingers kind of toward the rim so that they're facing sideways instead of facing up. When they're facing sideways, like kind of this, I don't know if you guys can see on YouTube, but when they're facing sideways like this, it allows your hand to move side to side more freely. If they're facing up, your tendency is to want to, when you follow through, to kind of flip your wrist over to get them down. So turn those fingers sideways and then think about just using your wrist, just popping your wrist. Don't try and throw them much over 100 feet or so to start out. It's just like when you start throwing an ultimate frisbee. It's pretty hard to do, but once you get the hang of it, it's habit. It's easy. So start by throwing them a little bit slower. Don't try and cover so much distance, and then you can kind of build from there. But do not try to overpower them because that's the thing that will make them wobble the most.